Hello again to all my food warriors and welcome back to the channel. Today we are making the epitome of fast food, the pasta alla carbonara, a true Roman classic. As we talk about kind of our busy lives these days and no, I don't have time to cook, Coach Joe says absolutely not. I don't believe that for a minute. If we go back to episode 12 on the channel, pasta aglio, olio, peperoncino, the epitome of fast food, almost instant food. And this is no different. This is a Roman classic, a pasta alla carbonara. This is a favorite any time of day. And literally it only has a handful of ingredients and only takes as long as the water it takes to boil and to cook our pasta. So this is literally, I've had this for breakfast, I've had this for lunch, I've had this for dinner. This is the epitome of true Roman fast food. What we have here to start, this is, the batch I'm making today, 4 people. This is a beautiful guanciale. So this is essentially the jowl of the pig that's been salt cured and air dried. This is an absolutely fantastic Italian specialty. If you don't have guanciale, you can use pancetta. You can use even some lightly smoked bacon in a pinch. It's not like the carbonara police are going to come knock on your door and take you to the guillotine. This is a fairly flexible recipe. We're going with the classic preparation today. So we're going to start with some guanciale, and all I really want here is one big slice off of my slab. There you go. So this is what we're going to go with. We've got the rind here in the back. This is something that we want to trim off because that's really not going to cook down. That's quite tough, and so we want to make sure that we remove that from our final preparation. There we are. There we are. So this rind is just the skin of the pig. This is not something that we want. And all I'm going to do here with my guanciale is I'm going to cut this up into very thin strips. Now you notice on the outside, this one here has been seasoned with a fair amount of black pepper. Some people remove that. I keep that on. I think that is fantastic flavor that we don't want to remove. Let me tell you something, that's the kind of rustic flavor that'll put a little fuzz on your peaches. And so you know what, we're going to keep that on. We're just going to cut this in half, and then we're going to slice this up in relatively thin slices. There we are. So now what we're going to do here, very simply, just slice this up. I've had this done where it's been cubed. I find you get a better texture and a better mouthfeel when you slice them up thinly like this. They tend to crisp up when we fry these off and give a much better mouthfeel and a much better consistency. By contrast, so this being the jowl of the pig, pancetta is the belly of the pig, and certainly you can use that in a pinch. Traditionalists will swear by guanciale. We happen to have a beautiful piece of guanciale in the fridge, and so we are going to use that today. I'm just going to put this into a cold pan. All I want to do is get a little bit of heat under this and crispen these guys up. So we will get some heat under this, and we will let this go for about 8 to 10 minutes. A bunch of the fat will render out, and these little guys will get beautifully crispy. So I'm just going to give my hands a quick wash. I'm going to clean up my workstation here. I will see you in 2 minutes. All right, we are back. It has literally been about 3 or 4 minutes. Our guanciale is beautifully crispy. I just cut the heat on the burner, and now it's time to get our pasta in the water. So what I have here is my pasta pot with rapidly boiling water. I did take the opportunity to give this a couple of good pinches of salt, and now what we're going to do is we are going to get all of our spaghetti in there. We're using spaghetti today, and so what we're going to do in our classic method, put it into the pot. We're going to rotate our hands opposite directions, and this way it tends to fan out and it won't stick together. So all we're going to do is we're just going to give this a quick stir to get this into our water, and we are going to cook this to al dente as per the packet instructions. There we are. So in the meantime, what we're going to do is get the base for our sauce ready. What we have here in my big bowl, we have 4 egg yolks, and what I'm going to add to this is about 100 grams. This is 50 grams each of pecorino romano, which is completely traditional, and 50 grams of a good aged Parmigiano Reggiano. The reason why I combine 2 cheeses, each one gives me a slightly different profile. Pecorino Romano is a little saltier, even though it is traditional, it's a little bit saltier. The Parmigiano Reggiano gives me a little bit more nuttiness, gives me a little bit more well-rounded flavor in the mouth, and so I'm using both. My kitchen, my rules. If I want it to be completely traditional, I would just keep it to Pecorino Romano, but what I'm going to do is add about my 100 grams of cheese into my bowl. That's it. This is freshly grated off a larger block. It looks like a lot by volume. It really isn't a lot by weight. Again, all of these things are being used as seasonings. The guanciale that we have here is not being used as a protein. This is being used as a seasoning and as a little bit of an accent. Completely traditional, absolutely phenomenal impact. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to whisk up my cheese and my egg yolks. And what we have here, this is really going to be the base for our carbonara. Now, as you can see here, it's kind of a thick paste. The cheese will thicken that up. Not to worry, we're going to loosen this up before we add it to our final product. But literally, this is as complicated as it is. If we can whisk up a little bit of cheese and a couple of egg yolks, we can make a pasta alla carbonara. And I'm telling you, once you've had this made the proper way, there's no going back. It's one of those dishes that is absolutely unique in the Italian repertoire. So simple, so satisfying. Just wait till you see the end product. So we are ready to go. I'm just gonna stir up my pasta. This should be done in about another, I'd say 9 or 10 minutes time. And I will see you in about that time. All right, our pasta is just about there. So now we are gonna bring everything together. What I'm gonna do, this is just an empty stainless steel bowl. I'm gonna go into my pasta water here, and I'm just gonna pull some of this water out. And the reason being is, this is an integral part of how we bring our sauce together. So what I have here in the frying pan where we've rendered our pancetta, we have about, I'd say 3 or 4 tablespoons of the rendered guanciale fat. All I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pour some of this in, maybe 2 tablespoons or so. There we are, and we'll just leave the rest in our pan. All we wanna do is bring some of that flavor to our eggs, and we also wanna temper our eggs, which means we wanna bring them up to a temperature that's closer to the final dish versus having them be cold. So what we're gonna do here with our pasta water as well, again, this is quite warm. We don't want to scramble our eggs. We want to make a very, very creamy sauce. So what I'm going to do here is just add a couple of tablespoons at a time. There we are. And we're going to whisk this in. And what this is going to do, in addition to bringing up the temperature of the eggs, is it's going to start to loosen our egg mixture and our cheese mixture, which will ultimately be the basis of our sauce. There we are, as we can see, beautifully creamy, no scrambled eggs. We're not looking to make an omelet here. We want to keep this beautifully creamy. We just want a tiny, tiny, tiny bit more, maybe another tablespoon or 2, and I think that will be all that we need. Oh, beautiful. There we are. Beautifully loose, beautifully creamy. There we are. We'll just put this guy off to the side. I think our pasta should be there. And so we're just going to give this guy one final test. Beautifully al dente. Done. Absolutely perfect. So now what we're going to do, we will drain our pasta. There we are. And we will make sure that we get all of this straight into our bowl. Now you can finish this in a pan on the hob, but I find if you want to give yourself a little bit of insurance, what we want to do here is just get, here we are, all of our pasta, no noodle left behind here. There we are. Everybody into the pool. We'll just put this guy off to the side. Actually, we'll put him right back into our pot, because what we're going to do here as we mix this up and we toss this in our bowl is we want to make sure that we have an opportunity here to thicken all of this up. The one thing I do not like whenever I'm served a plate of pasta carbonara is to have a real soupy mess at the bottom of the bowl. To me, that's a very poorly executed version. And so what I want to do, in addition to throwing in my guanciale here, I'm going to take this and I'm going to finish this over the steam that's coming off my pasta pot here, just to thicken it up and just to make sure it is beautifully creamy. And sometimes it needs a couple of minutes. Today, I'd say it needs about 30 seconds. And we are there. We are there. Absolutely beautifully creamy. I'm telling you, this is one of those dishes that you will make time and time again. Beautifully rustic. There we are. Just make sure we get a nice little bit of that. Make sure we get a few pieces of our guanciale here. I keep saying pancetta. I've made this with pancetta before as well. Works very, very well. And there we are. And here we are, beautifully creamy. We're just going to garnish this with a little bit of black pepper. And that's it. That's all we need. Nothing more, nothing less. We don't need any additional cheese. It's already in there. And this is just beautifully, beautifully creamy. Look at that. Every noodle is coated. Get a little bit of guanciale there. And here we are. Look at that. So good. So good, so savory. With so few ingredients, I would really recommend sourcing the best quality ingredients that you can. It really does make a difference. And in this case, having that specialty ingredient, that guanciale that we've added to it, just a beautifully, beautifully, beautifully balanced dish. I do hope you try this. This will become one of your favorites. No more excuses because we don't have time. This is literally the Italians' version of fast food. I'd have this any day of the week. As always, this is Coach Joe saying do like and subscribe if you find the content useful. Do share it, as that is what we're all about. And I will see you on the next one.